Hi, and welcome back to the NCL Workshop. This is going to be part 3 of the Auxiliary Basics course, so let's get started. The American Legion Auxiliary faced a new era of challenge as it entered its 60th year of service. In 1982, the American Legion Auxiliary Awareness Assembly was established to inform members about national and international issues pertaining to defense, security, veterans, women, and the elderly. The Awareness Assembly replaced the disbanded Women's Forum on National Security. In support of women, the past President's Parlay awarded $69,000 in nursing scholarships that same year. United States service personnel served in Grenada and in Lebanon between August 24, 1982 and July 31, 1984. Our armed forces fought for several reasons: to support democratic reform in the small Caribbean nations, to provide development and defense aid, and to allow peace to take place. Membership eligibility was expanded to include the great-granddaughters of the armed forces of this war period. The Friends of Our Little Brothers orphanage in Mexico was visited in 1984 by National President Anna Geer. This orphanage at one time housed nearly 1,200 children. The children relied on the land for their food, but an inadequate supply of water hampered their ability to produce necessary food to survive. The American Legion Auxiliary donated funds to be used for irrigation wells, which brought in a steady supply of water and ensured an adequate amount of food for the children. A program supporting children closer to home came in the form of an educational comic book called The Secret of Animal Island. The comic book illustrated safety tips for children. In 1987, it set auxiliary records for public response, and 1.5 million copies were distributed worldwide. In November 1989, auxiliary members watched with joy as the Berlin Wall, the symbol of Soviet domination for many Americans, fell in November. Also, in 1989, the Supreme Court ruled in Texas versus Johnson that flag burning was protected as free speech, thus overturning state flag protection laws. This ruling devastated veterans organizations across the country. Through the years, other conflicts required the assistance of the United States. In 1989, Iraq invaded Kuwait, necessitating United States intervention. On December 20th, 1989, the military set its campaign in motion. Known as Operation Desert Storm, the war was short with relatively few American casualties. Auxiliary members extended to include female family members of Desert Storm veterans. The Family Support Network was launched in 1990 for Operation Desert Storm. The network was a national emergency assistance program in which military families called a toll-free telephone number staffed by auxiliary and Legion members to request help. More than 34,000 telephone calls for assistance were received. The increasing homeless population in the United States prompted American Legion Auxiliary members to step in and help in the 1990s. In 1992, auxiliary members gathered in Washington, D.C. and built the All-Woman House as part of Habitat for Humanity International's Jimmy Carter Work Project. Continuing to support homeless veterans, National President Lyndon Boone led a group of concerned community and service groups to form a Far From Home chapter in Indianapolis, which established a transitional living program for homeless veterans. Auxiliary members also successfully collected over 1 million pounds of food and donated this food to assist homeless veterans across the country. Change at national headquarters came in 1993 with the retirement of Miss Miriam Jung of the Department of Ohio from the position of National Secretary. After serving 15 years in this capacity, she was succeeded January 1, 1994 by Miss Peggy Sappenfield. Sappenfield's appointment came following a successful 17 years as the Auxiliary's National Treasurer. The successor to the position of National Treasurer was Miss Marta Heading of Indianapolis, who assumed the position on July 18, 1994. National President Helen Holcomb of Odessa, Texas, introduced Teen Court to auxiliary members in 1994. Teen Court, an alternative to the formal juvenile justice system, allows young offenders to be tried and sentenced by a jury of their peers. Auxiliary members initiated 17 teen courts across the country. In an effort to overturn the Supreme Court's 1989 decision legalizing flag desecration under the First Amendment, the Citizens Flag Alliance was formed in 1994 with the sole purpose of protecting the American flag. This alliance is an apolitical, nonpartisan confederation of organizations and individuals who wish to pass a constitutional amendment to protect the American flag from physical desecration. Nearly 115 organizations and 35 million people joined the American Legion and American Legion Auxiliary in this effort. This was a special emphasis for National President Lyndon Newsom. In 1995, the constitutional amendment was narrowly defeated in the Senate by 3 votes. With renewed patriotism by support of those volunteering to serve in the military and emphasis on the flag amendment, membership grew. At the National Convention in Indianapolis in September 1995, the Auxiliary celebrated its 75th year of service to God and country. Membership eligibility was extended to include grandmothers. Auxiliary members, under the encouragement of National President Sybil Desautels, increased their presence in local communities with special attention placed on domestic abuse issues, assistance for the elderly and disabled, and improved care for veterans. Some of this improved care was provided by auxiliary volunteers working in the Fisher Houses. The Fisher Houses are comfort homes that provide temporary lodging for family members of military personnel and veterans who receive medical treatment at military or VA medical centers. Zachary and Elizabeth Fisher donated $1.5 million to this project, and auxiliary members honored them with the Public Spirit Award at the 15th Awareness Assembly session. American troops were again called to service in 1995 to keep peace in Bosnia. Nearly 60,000 American troops joined United Nations forces on a peacekeeping mission. Auxiliary members again became active with the Family Support Network to provide much-needed assistance to family members of these overseas service personnel. In 1996, members were challenged to strengthen the values upon which our nation was founded. All auxiliary youth-related programs were emphasized, specifically youth scholarship monies, participation in Make a Difference Day, existing auxiliary junior programs, Freedom's Foundation, and the National Junior Meeting. National President Barbara Koenig put an emphasis on strengthening the family, food for the hungry, domestic violence, and adequate education for young people, in addition to the Hallmark Veterans programs. Mrs. Koenig also challenged members of the auxiliary to be good neighbors and find ways to meet the needs appropriate to their own communities. One way to accomplish this was through the auxiliary's two-pronged commitment to the President's Summit for America's Future, a commitment which extended 5 years. In 1998, members were introduced to the Children's Miracle Network and the USO. National President Virginia Hobbs encouraged members to contribute to the World War II Memorial. The request for World War II memorial funds continued into the administration of National President Elizabeth Libb Stewart. Even after the defeat of the Flag Protection Amendment, members were encouraged to contact their congressmen and encourage their dedication and support. The next decade continued as members found innovative methods to support the programs of the American Legion Auxiliary. In 2001, under the guidance of National President Chris West, the Auxiliary partnered with the Department of Veteran Affairs to continue rehabilitation work for veterans. The Auxiliary became a host sponsor for the National Veterans Creative Arts Festival and continues to support through members' yearly donations and time. Many national events have been highlighted with displays and performances of award-winning participants. After terrorist attacks on the Pentagon in New York City, members, under the direction of National President Sherry McLaughlin, donated over $100,000 for relief efforts. Also in the new millennium, the auxiliary members supported the American Legion in their quest to help active duty members through the Family Support Network. National President Carol Van Kirk found a special need for serious wounded military members, promoting a campaign to raise funds for custom-made computer carts to help in their recovery while in the VA polytrauma centers. The recognition of children and youth in every community who go above and beyond to help in a crisis to save a life culminated in unit-nominated Youth Hero Awards. As we entered a new millennium, the Auxiliary, acting on National President Joanne Cronin's vision and planning for the future of the organization, formalized and moved forward under the leadership of National President Jan Pulvermacher Ryan in earnest with the start of strategic planning. Another emphasis for President Pulvermacher Ryan was scholarships. She began an endowment fund for the children of military personnel called Educating Children of Warriors. In 2008, the national headquarters moved its headquarters out of the downtown corridor to its present larger site. Many firsts occurred as we ended the first decade of the new millennium. During President Desiree Stoy's term, the Call to Service Corps Vista Grant program became a reality. Additional support was given to the American Legion Auxiliary through Vista volunteers, helping hands at both the national and department levels. The grants were obtained through our relationship with the Corporation for National and Community Service. For the first time in our history, an honorary past national president was named. Miriam Jung not only excelled in the position of national secretary, but she continued to contribute to the well-being of the organization. She stepped in to manage the national headquarters when needed, and she was instrumental in many aspects of strategic planning. She was honored at the 2009 convention. History was made as members elected the organization's first Hispanic president at the 2009 National Convention. Rita Navarrete led the organization through our 90th year celebration. It was during her year that members began their in-kind support of Ride to Recovery, a program to support severely wounded veterans ride bicycles during planned rides as a form of therapy. She became our first sitting president to reach the mass of membership via social networking, Facebook, and Twitter. As we began another decade, National President Carlene Ashworth encouraged members to use Power of One to make a difference in each community. She emphasized getting back to the grassroots programs of the auxiliary with the concentration of active duty veterans and their families. This was also the year of a record number of natural disasters. Auxiliary members rose to the challenge, donating record numbers of dollars through the Auxiliary Emergency Fund to assist fellow members. Honoring their service, Faces of Freedom, continued the impact each member makes when serving our troops and veterans, as National President Chris Nelson encouraged members to wear a button recognizing a veteran of choice. She reorganized mission training and established programs into pods. Pods comprised like programs into one unit, making it easier for members to identify and plan work in an area of interest. As 2011 came to an end, so did the war in Iraq for the U.S. Support of troops in Afghanistan and around the world continued in the work of the auxiliary. In 2012, the name for the Awareness Assembly was changed to the Washington Conference to reflect the multifaceted information presented. The creation of the American Legion Auxiliary was the most appropriate and progressive action the American Legion has ever undertaken. This body of men and women, affiliated by blood and marriage to those who gave their lives for their country, has worked side by side with the Legion. Its own activities of service for over 90 years have equaled and in many cases exceeded its parent organization. The auxiliary's unselfish programs, in concert with those of the Legion, are legendary. These programs are dedicated to the men and women who suffered for their country, and they benefit the children whose fathers gave their lives for America. An enormous expenditure of thought and energy has been required to make these programs successful. The men and women of the auxiliary have responded with devotion to service seldom equaled and never surpassed by any other organization. This concludes part 3 of our auxiliary basics course. So you may either take a break or go ahead and continue on to part 4 as we continue through our NCL workshop.